Well, thanks for joining. I'm Rob. I'm from Washington Beach Mining, and today we're going to do something different than I normally do. We're going to turn this rock into gold. And by doing that, we're going to be crushing it all the way down to fine powder, and then we'll run it through our cleanup sluice and see how much gold we get out of this ore. So I ordered some ore from Colorado, and I will mention their name as soon as I'm done with the video, or I'll put where I got it from in the description if it's any good. So I already went through one box already, and what I did is I took all of the rock and the material and ran it through a 20 mesh screen just to get it down to practically powder. Tell it's pretty small. 20 mesh is pretty good, but I did run one of these rocks through a crusher that I have over here, and I did find that there was a little bit of gold in this rock. Granted, I had to use a jeweler's loupe to see it, but there was at least 50 color in it. Now this machine here I picked up a few years ago, and you can hook a drill bit to it and run it through, but you know, it's a jaw crusher. You know, this moves up and starts crushing the rock down. So this is what I use to test that one piece. Granted, this is a portable machine, it works great, but it's still time consuming. I mean, it's way better than a pedestal and crushing it down with a hammer or anything like that, so it's still much faster than that, but I want to burn through some of this stuff much more quicker. So say hello to my little friend. Yep, rock crusher that fits over a bucket. It does run under 110 volts. You can get it in a 12 volt, but I was like, no, I'll stick with the 110. I would think probably it's much powerful than a 12 volt motor version on it. And on top of that, these motors do consume a lot of amps, so if you're running this under a battery, I would be surprised if you can get maybe 3 hours out of a full-size marine battery. So I went with the 110 version. It is chain driven here, and the reason I went with this machine, because there's a couple of these out on the markets for the buckets, is I don't have to crush my rocks down to 1 inch to feed the other one. This unit can actually take up to 4-inch rocks, and you can tell down inside there it's more like a ball mill type. And what it does is, as it's spinning, there's a bar that sits right along here, that ball there, and there's the adjustment screw. So this can actually bring all the ore down to 1/8 inch minus, with it being at least 50% of it dust. So multiple passes should be able to get me to get this down to, you know, good fine powder enough to where it can run through that 20 mesh screen. You can run this with a drill, power drill, or a battery power drill, but you'll have to disconnect the motor up top here for the chain. So it can be done in the wild, out in the remote areas, but I just assume this coming summer that I end up just finding rocks to bring home and crush them here in the backyard. It's much more convenient. So let's get started by going through these remaining 2 boxes and get all of the rock separated from the fine ore. Okay, so now I got everything ran through. Everything plus minus 20. That's everything that passed through the 20-minute screen. And give you an idea of what kind of rocks we're working with. You know, I can tell there's a quartz stringer running through here. It's, you know, like a bunch of galena. Yeah, it's hard to say what's all in this rock because I am no expert. But that's what it looks like up close. It shows. Here's another piece. Alright, so let's run this through the crusher. And obviously that big round knob down there is an oblong piece of steel that actually, when you adjust it, it rolls up on that plate there and pushes this plate closest to this ball mill here. So you can really get it fine. Now I have it set up for the widest angle right now, which is 3/4 inch. So I can take all this rock that I have and get it down to 3/4 inch. And then I'll tighten it up a little bit more, run it through again, maybe get it down to 1/4 inch or 1/8 of an inch, and then adjust it to its fine setting and see if I can get it to be all dust. So that's how it looks from inside going into the bucket. Again, this can take a 4-inch rock, and it has these grizzly bars in here, which anything 1/8 inch minus will just fall through, just so you're not having everything run through and wearing down your ball mill even more, because obviously, as we all know, we crush rocks, things eventually wear down. So there are replacement parts for this, but this unit, including that wear and tear on that wall bar or on that ball mill, has got a 1-year warranty under it. So again, the grizzly bars help drop all the fine stuff so it doesn't have to go through just the bigger stuff that needs to be crushed down. Okay, so anytime you're crushing rock, you always want to wear one of these. You don't want to breathe the dust that comes from this rock. It's nasty stuff. All rocks, you crush them, and it never also hurts to have face shield. Reason? Anytime you're crushing rocks, shards of rocks can bounce right back at you and hit you in your face. So I always recommend these 2 items when you're crushing rock. Okay, so that was the first pass. It should bring everything down at least 3/4 inch. And just to let you know, that weighs 65 pounds. So there we go. Everything's crushed down to at least no bigger than 3/4 inch size. And then we'll adjust it. And we'll run through this again. and break it down even more. So not too bad. Let's go for the second pass. Okay, so all done with round 2, and yeah, looks like that did a pretty good job. So we'll just go ahead and rerun this again through it one more time, see if we can get it down more. Still feel big pieces in there, but otherwise. So I went to go grab this bucket and was going to use it to fill up some water for the cleanup sluice. And I'm looking in there going, that looks like a piece of gold. I pulled it out. Sure enough, look at that. Guess I need to rinse my buckets out when I come back from the river. There's some gold. And here's the first scoop. Okay, well, as you can see, I'll show you the pictures of the gold that I found out of that. Yep, that's all I found, but taking consideration, I probably still have about 40% of plus 1/8 screen material that I need to get down to dust. So the rock crusher did a pretty good job, actually. I mean, you could take up to 4-inch rocks and crush right through it. It seemed to do pretty well under that. You have to get through a few hiccups with the machine, but again, it only does down to 1/8 material, and then they claim 50% of it, which I'd say maybe 40% of it actually turned to dust, because that ball mill is just coming right up to the back gate of the crusher, so I could barely get my fingernails underneath that. So, but since it's a rotation, you're going to get some of the larger material to fall down. So what I'm going to do is actually order up a little small chain mill, and I'll order that in. Plus I want to order some more different type of gold ore that I can run through and test through both of them. So I'll run it through the rock crusher, and then I'll run it through the chain mill, and we'll see if we can get some better results from it. The reason I'm doing this is just it's something different. So I plan on getting used to this equipment now while it's winter time and I got all the time for me to do that. But I want to go through and head up to the mountains. There's some areas that I've been to throughout Washington. You know, you look at the rock, you're like, I wonder. So why not grab a bunch of samples, put it in a little small bucket, bring it home and crush it, and find out, really, is there any good gold in there? Because gold, that's where it comes from. You know, I know you find it in the rivers and on the beaches, but if you can get to the source and run it, you might get some good results, or most likely you'll get some poor results. But that's the fun of prospecting out there. So if you like this video, please hit the like button down there. If you're not subscribed, I suggest you do, especially if you're into what I'm doing. Because again, next video I'm going to attempt this again, and by all means leave a comment. I do read them, and again, thanks for watching. Appreciate you.